Okay, this is Rio Tinto. It's looking a bit messy because I've charted it before, and what I've done here is just taken some of these support resistance lines from some high um, volume bars down here. Over here, we might just zoom in on those. So we had this one here that had been a band of accumulation in the past, and provided some support as the price has collapsed down, but then it's collapsed right through down into the lower area here. So we've had high volume down on this bar. It's closed on the high, so it's demand coming in, but you'll also have some short covering in there as well. But then the next bar tries to go up, but on less volume. And there's a bit of testing in there, but also a bit of no demand. The next bar closes lower, the volume is high, but it's actually attempted to push further up into all the supply. Even though there's some buying there, there's still a lot of supply present. We want to see that tested. Next bar goes up, but it's closed well off the low closed well off the high, sorry, and that's knocked it back. When we get a test, when we get another test, but the volume is increasing this time, and that test fails. So that's but the volume on this bar here is very high, and then the next bar, the volume is still very high, but it hasn't closed a lot lower than the previous one. So there's an attempt there to support the market. It's finding some support in this area where they were accumulating in the past, but it's still, it's still making lower lows at the moment. So that's a new low it's made since the last high. So we're still in a downtrend. And if you're trading it, then you're looking for short setups rather than long setups. You won't get a long setup for weeks, because you want to see this sort of thing happening here, and then they bust out and they come back and test that area, and then that test is confirmed by the next bar going up, and away she goes. And then you can zoom in on your daily chart and to look for some good entries for your longer term long entries. But at the moment we haven't really got that. We had our climactic bar here, and we were waiting for that bar to be cleared completely and tested for a long entry, and it hasn't happened. And that's why we don't enter on the volume bars. We want those climactic bars to clear to confirm the buying in the bar, but that hasn't happened. It's broken through that bar now, and if you had any weak bars now trying to go up there, like on really low volume, then it's gonna have a problem getting up there. If you're trading short, and then you're looking for weak bars trying to get up into that area, and then you've got a couple here. You've got no demand, an up bar that's also an up thrust. You've got a no demand followed by an up thrust. So you're getting all the signs here. Weak bars, no demand is the lightest volume in 3 bars as an up bar and a narrow spread. So there was a real classic no demand. That's followed by a stop hunt, which is what they normally do before they start going down. They stop hunting the guys who are actually on the right side of the trade. They're trying to take those out before they go low. Then you have your no demand, and all these are in the right spot, because once you had your first set there, your first pivot, you could have had this downtrend line here, and you've got some nice that was a particularly high probability setup there, that no demand bar, because you had high volume. If no demand, high volume broke down, and then had the no demand trying to go back, penetrate that high volume area, and it's not going to get through there. We haven't really got one of those show up around here for a short. Because there was some possible buying in this bar, so it hasn't really set up for a long or short trade either way, and still hasn't. And you're still making lower lows, so you're still looking for short trades. We can probably look at the daily chart. I've drawn some levels on there. I've also drawn this speculative channel here, just taking these two pivot lows and connecting the high there. And that's actually Monday. It's come down and just missed it. So it's come down on high volume there. So and that spread's quite narrow. So it's so there's buying come into that bar. It's closed off the low. The next bar closes lower, but on less volume. And then it's bounced. Then we get the no demand as it tries to penetrate back into this high volume bar here. That's very weak. It's not going to get through that area. So it looks like they're attempting to push through this area. And once they push through this area, they're not allowing the price. They're not interested in the price going higher. And they get all this volume supply turn up here on this bar. What we're looking for is the supply. Like even though there's an attempt to support the market there and some buying there, there's still a lot of supply in that bar. So we're looking for price to get above there and test on light volume to tell us the supply is dried up. But really, when you're in a downtrend, your strong bars sometimes only move the price sideways. And that's what's happened in this case here. If you're in a downtrend, you pay more attention to your weak bars at the top, especially at the top of the trend channel, more so than to your strong bars at the bottom of the channel. And so we had some very narrow spread up bars that were weak, like there. We had some no demand up here as well. So there were some very weak bars even on this chart. You had a classic one there, nice, up thrust, really light volume as an up bar or an up thrust bar, and that's knocked it back. So and I had this little downtrend channel here as well, which is just broken through to the bottom here. So it's still in a downtrend. It's no probably put another channel on there, I suppose. Oh, that doesn't really help me a lot. But if you're looking for your short trades, I would be probably looking at that line there. Any weak bars trying to penetrate that line, like really light volume up bars or up thrust bars like that, trying to penetrate that line, you could probably short, just being aware where your support is as a target. But yeah, if you're looking for a longer term long entry or investment, if you're just looking for dividends and that sort of thing, I mean, you really, it's not really showing us that it's bottomed yet, other than that it's in an area of previous accumulation where they've accumulated in the past. So that's something you're going to have to decide yourself, but really the trend is still down. And the other thing you've got to realize is that at RIO, just put up the S&P 200. They're the grey bars. RIO follows the XJO. So I would be looking at the XJO. Let's remove that comparison chart. I'll go back to the daily. Oh, hang on, what have they done to me now? It's not going to show me now. RIO. There we go. Go back to the daily, and we're going to put up the S&P 200. See on the daily chart, and RIO is actually underperforming slightly the XJO at the moment as well. So, but generally speaking, it follows the XJO. So I have done a YouTube on the XJO, so that's probably something you can have a look at on my thoughts on that. because at the moment there's nothing to tell us that the XJO is bottomed. There is some signs of accumulation there in the market, but it's still in a downtrend, and there's nothing to say that it can't go lower yet. And if it goes lower, then RIO will follow it, because that's what RIO does. It follows the index. And I wouldn't be long. I wouldn't want to be buying RIO at the moment, even if that's the bottom. I'll just remove the comparison chart. Even if that's the bottom, it would take weeks and weeks before a proper long setup happens, because it'll take that long, to start trending up again. For a confirmed uptrend, it's going to be weeks and weeks. It's not going to be overnight. There's no bar that can show up here now that will tell you this is the bottom of the trend. It'll have to be a period of consolidation, and then it'll probably grind its way up, start an uptrend, and that'll take months even before you can say, yeah, it's starting an uptrend possibly, and we can start looking for some long entries. But if you're trading, then the easy trade or the higher probability trades will be short trades, and that's what I'll be looking at. I'll probably be, for your short end trades, I'll be looking at any weak bars trying to penetrate this downtrend line here. That's probably how I would do it. I don't trade RIO normally, but that's probably, if I were to trade it, that's probably how I would do it. Look at that line down there. It gaps around a lot too, so if you're trading CFDs, you don't want to be holding overnight, because your stops aren't going to be respected. It depends how wide your stops are, I suppose, or what your risk tolerance is. I would probably trade puts on this if I was taking longer term entries on the weekly chart. Go back to the weekly, but even the weekly isn't even giving me any trades on RIO at the moment, longer term trades, because you are finding a bit of support here. So I don't want to be short longer term, but it's not confirming a long term reversal or any sort of reversal, or that an uptrend might be starting as well. So there's no long entry on there as well. But you will get shorter term entries on the daily chart, and they'll probably be short entries. So that's my thoughts on RIO. But anyway, we have support down there at 58.86. We've got 51.74 below that if that fails, and then you'll have all the way down to 36.80 and 23.59. So hopefully, if you're long, it won't get that way, go that far. But really, there's nothing telling us that it can't at the moment. But it is finding, we do have some volume kicking in as it. So there's definitely some buying coming in an attempt to support it at the moment. So we can keep an eye on that anyway. But anyway, that's RIO. Okay, this is CSL. I'll just might go back. So it's had a move up. This is the weekly chart. It looks like it's been in a sort of a range here. So I might just find the highest volume bar on the chart, which is that one, and I'll mark the high of that bar, which is the $30.79. And I'll mark the low of that bar, which is the 28.43. I haven't charted this well. I might have charted it before, but maybe on the other package. 28.43 I want. Okay, so we can see when it wants to break through this area, it's an energetic bar, it takes moves through this area as fast as it can to bust through. And that area there has provided an area of support, and then it's broken through that area, and then that last bar popped up back into that area again. So we'll just have a look and see. We can probably put a little trend channel. I'll probably do. So we did have a trend channel there that it's broken out of, and now it's will act as resistance at the bottom of that channel. That's just the Wyckoff channel. The two high, the first two pivot highs and the intervening low, and that's broken down, and it's butting its head up on it at the moment. Let's see, we've had high volume down. It's closed high, so there's some buying demand overcoming supply in that bar there. The next bar closes down though on high volume. So there's plenty of supply in this area here. Next bar's tried to go up, but on no demand. It's closed well off the highs. It's tried to penetrate through the high volume bar, and I just marked the high of that bar as well. I think I should. 29.36. So even though there's some buying coming into that bar, there's still a lot of supply, a lot of selling in it. All high volume contains selling, so whether it's an up bar or a down bar, and we want to see the price move above that volume. So we want to see price break above that volume properly, and then come back and test it on light volume to tell us that it's been the supply in that bar has been absorbed. But that looks like some accumulation happened there. Then we had high volume down. It was a down bar. Volume kicked in, it's closed well off the low. Next bar volume goes down on increased volume as a down bar, and a smart money buy on down bars. They have to accumulate on down bars. Most of the accumulation happens on down bars. So we have a down bar, the spread is narrowed. That's because the buy orders are satisfying the sell orders as soon as they're being made, or relative to everything else at the moment. So the narrowing spread, it's a down bar, increased volume, so there's definitely some accumulation on that bar. That's confirmed by the next bar shooting up. And there's enough there for it to shoot higher. And it's breaching, attempting to breach through this area. I think what we need to do really is clear this area in here to get back, because we're in a downtrend at the moment. See, when we're in a downtrend, we've got we pay more attention to our weak bars, but certainly not acting weak at the moment, because that looks like some accumulation happening there. And the longer it's been sideways accumulating, it means the bigger the investment being made in the stock, and the more motivation there is to take it higher, and the bigger the move it can make. So it's an up bar. The spread's narrowed compared to the previous up bar, so that might get tested. They might test again in this area. So there's still a lot of supply in this area, so we want to see that all still needs to be tested and absorbed for higher prices. And if they're accumulating, if they can get filled at these lower prices, they'll do that. They'll get filled at lower prices. They're not going to move this higher until all their buy orders are filled if they're accumulating. But when they're done accumulating, they'll move it above that area, and then they'll come back and test, and to make sure that there's no supply in that area. The opposition to higher prices is supply. If they've already bought at lower prices, they don't want to be absorbing too much selling as they take it to their target sell zone, wherever that is. So what we want to see is for it to clear this area, and I probably would like to see it clear this high volume bar, which is your highest volume bar on the map. And that would then, if it does that, then you'd have a bit of an uptrend started as well, and we want to be trading with the trend. So it's not quite there yet on the weekly chart. We'll have a look at the daily. So there's you get some really high volume down bars here, which sends it sideways somewhat. But these two bars are actually weak because it's gone up, the volume's too high. It's gone up and the volume's really high, but it hasn't done anything, so that'll come down, I would expect, and test again. And we've got some really high volume down here that needs to be tested. You've got some right there as well. They did it. See that? If they done, they break. What were they break? Trying to break through. They break through the high, this high volume bar, which is the highest volume bar. There, they break through. It's up to us. They brought back. They've tested it, and then they've tried to push through, but it's very high volume now. It could be they're trying to absorb the supply over here from trapped holders to take it higher. I think you really need to see a confirmed higher low. We don't have a higher low yet, so we've got a bit of a range there. And we want to see this come back on the dip and see where it comes back to. And probably I would like to see it. See, that's really high volume. It's a down bar, but really high volume. That's created the bounce. So there's buying. There's definite accumulation in the bottom here. Definitely some accumulation in the bottom. So very narrow spreads. That's down bars. Yeah, this real narrow spread bar here. I think that was absorbing it because we cleared it fairly quickly. I've gapped it over. That's looking okay, but we want to see an uptrend started. We don't really have it. We've actually put in a first higher high here, but we haven't really cleared. We probably really need to clear this higher high here. So that's let's have a look here. Might connect these two. Let's jump back into this downtrend channel. So we want to get away from this downtrend before I would be comfortable trading it long. What I'll be looking at, see, you got this really high volume there. I think you're going to get into trouble. There at the 31.13, and if it does keep moving up, then you're going to, and it puts in a weak bar up here, like these really narrow spread up bars, then that'd actually be still very shortable if it does that. So we still want to clear this downtrend line, I think. I'll just get back to the weekly again. Yeah, no, it's still it's showing some bullish signs in the bottom here, but we want it to put in a confirmed uptrend. We don't really have a confirmed uptrend yet, and that's what we want to what we really want to see is a confirmed uptrend. And if we see some weak bars at the top of a downtrend channel, then we'd short them. And we're still, so we still might be looking at a short setup yet on CSL if we see some weakness appear now at the top of this downtrend channel. So if we're in a downtrend, we still pay more attention to our weak bars and to our strong bars, but at the moment that's looking actually like some accumulation in the bottom there for sure. But we want to see that. I want to see some further testing. I want to see some higher lows. And we want to get past, we want to break past this downtrend channel here and come back and test it. And yeah, so that's good. This is a bit hard because you've got a lot of volume here, but your really high volume bars are still above us, and they're areas of supply that we need to overcome. So, I mean, if you can get past this one here, which is a really high volume one, and then if you can get past there and test that area, then you'd have a confirmed uptrend then, and then you could start trading long. But I think there is some signs of accumulation there, but you've got some really high volume bars there that never got tested properly, so they can come back and, if they want to, they'll come back and test this area again. If they want to accumulate more, they'll bring it back down into this area. I think we really need to be looking at our weekly chart, I think, to really get a good handle on what's going on. But definitely some strong bars at the bottom here appearing now, and we're at a support level as well, so it's a logical place for reaccumulation if they want to. But it's sort of one of those stocks that it's really been trading sideways for a very long time, and so I don't know what the dividends on it are like or anything like that, or the fundamentals, but it is putting in some strong bars at the bottom, but you're still in a downtrend. So when we're in a downtrend, we pay more attention to our weak bars than we do to our strong bars until it's in an uptrend. But that's CSL.